In this lesson, we're going to finish off the course by creating the finish script. Alright, so now what we need to do is we need to show the player that they've won once they've hit the finish line on our track. So to get started with that, we need to first create the GUI text object that will appear whenever they have collided with the finish object. Now remember, the finish object has the sphere collider and it is set to a trigger, so make sure that you have that set. Let's go ahead and create the GUI text object that we're going to use to show the message. So we're going to just simply create a new GUI text object. Let's go ahead and rename it to WinText. Hit enter on that. And then with that, let's go ahead and set this up. So we're just going to display on this, you win. Okay, nice big bold letters. Let's go ahead and set our alignment to center on that one, and then we'll go ahead and we'll leave everything else the same except for the font size. So on the font, we're going to set that to 32 and hit enter. Alright, so that is our GUI text. Now what we'll do is we'll go ahead and set up the script for the finish line to display that GUI text whenever they've hit it. So let's go ahead and create a new script. So we'll do C# script and we'll call this finish and hit enter. Double click on that and let's go inside. So the first thing that we need to do on our script is we need to create the function that's called onTriggerEnter. So we'll say void onTriggerEnter. Okay, because this is going to belong onto that finish object and it does have a collider that is set to trigger. So we're going to say collider other, and again this is just a generic variable that we use for colliders onTriggerEnter functions. So let's go ahead and get started with this here. So what do we want it to do first? Well, we want to make sure that we're checking to see if the player is colliding with it. So we're going to say if other.gameObject.tag is equal to, and we're going to look for the tag player. What do we want it to do? Well, I want it to go ahead and tell me that I've won the game. So we're going to say, well, we need to first get the WinText object itself. So we need to create a new variable. So up here at the top, we'll say public, and we're going to call this, we need the type of GUI text, and then we're going to give it its variable name. In this case, we're going to do WinText, but it's a lowercase w. And we'll just go ahead and assign that in the editor itself. So we've exposed that and we can do that. So then at the start, I want to make sure that that GUI text is disabled. So let's go ahead and do that. We're going to say WinText dot enabled equals false. Now you may be wondering, well, what happened to set active and setting that to false? Well, it works a little bit differently with the GUI text object. The game object we can set to active and inactive, but in this case I'm using the GUI text object. Okay, so I'm accessing the component of that game object. Alright, so now that we have set that to false whenever the game starts, and actually let's do that on awake, not necessarily at the start. Okay, we don't need the update. Okay, we don't need that here. And then we're going to check to see if the player has collided with that, and if they have, we're going to set WinText dot enabled back to true. Okay, and there we go. Let's go ahead and hit Control S to save that. Let's go into Unity and let's test this out. Let's make sure that we apply that finish script to our finish game object. So we're going to add component scripts and finish. There we go. And we need to make sure that our WinText object, okay, the GUI text is assigned. So let's go ahead and select the WinText object. Let's drag that over into this area and you should see that assigned there. Then what we'll do is we'll simply hit play and let's go ahead and go through our track. So hopefully we don't mess up too much. We can get this the first try. So let's go ahead and go up, and you'll notice that the WinText is not showing up. If it helps, you can go ahead and actually select that game object and you'll see the GUI text component is disabled. Okay, so with this we'll go ahead and we'll go up into the next one. Hopefully we don't overshoot the track. And we're looking good. Okay, got a little worried there. So let's go ahead and hit this one as hard as we can. Hopefully we get into the next one. Okay, looks good. And then we'll get a little bit of a run at this one. Get up into this loop, and then it's home free from here. Alright, and then we'll go ahead and we'll hit that finish line, and it says you win. Awesome. So after it says you win, at this point you would want to go ahead and maybe load a new level. And so that's my challenge to you. After you finish this, I would challenge you to go ahead and create another level. Okay, maybe you go ahead and just maybe reset up these track pieces. You can move them, you can rotate them around, and just go ahead and set it up and save that out as a new level. And then you would do application load level, and then you would do an index of 1. Now, in order for that to work, I just want to show you one quick thing. You need to go into your project settings for that to work. Or actually, not your project settings, your build settings. And so you would go to build settings, and then you would want to add in the scenes that you want to use. So first of all, you're going to add current. Notice that 16_begin, this is the current level we're using. Its index is set to 0. But then you would go ahead and add other ones. So you would need to add those in. Okay. And then once you've done that, you can go ahead and build it, and then you can load levels from there. All right, great. So now that we have got our introduction to C# scripting, we've gone through a lot of the basic fundamentals that you would need to know to begin scripting. So that took up most of our course, and then we went through this project and kind of solidified some of those ideas, getting you used to how to write code for games, how to create interactivity, and most importantly, how to create scripts that live on the correct objects. And so you'll notice that we created a finish script that went onto the finish game object. We created a killbox object or a script, and that went on the killbox object itself. The camera, the coin, the character, and even the GUI, which was the coin counter. So I hope you guys learned a lot. I hope you had fun during this, and I'll see you guys next time.